In a city where glass towers blinked like sequins against a humid sky, reputation moved faster than traffic. People said a person's name was their first home. Build it with care and it would shelter you. But some people, drunk on quick money, roofed their names with paper and prayed for sunshine. Okafor the plumber smiled like a brand new faucet, bright, polished, and promising. His Instagram feed showed chrome mixers sparkling beneath pendant lights, captions drenched in emojis and praise. He carried a rugged toolbox and a leather roll of wrenches. He spoke softly, listened intently, and left business cards with embossed droplets on thick, matte stock. People trusted him, and trust in that city was currency. The day Chika Udo collected the keys to her first home, she cried in the empty hallway and let the echo carry her gratitude to God. Years of stock-taking, of dawn to dusk, of selling bags of rice and cartons of noodles in Alaba market, every ledger mark and bargain had led to this. The house stood inside a developing estate. Stucco walls, wide windows trimmed in charcoal aluminum, a little potted palm by the front door. The painters had left the scent of fresh hopes. The tilers had lined the floors like a chessboard. Her mother came to bless the place with prayers, tapping each door with gentle knuckles the way her own mother taught her. A house hears its first prayers, Mama said, and remembers. Chika sent a photo to her siblings. We made it. She sent another to her fiancé, Obina. Our future starts here. Then she messaged the plumber everyone recommended, Okafor. He responded in minutes. Okafor, congrats, madam. I'll make it sing when you turn the taps. Okafor arrived in a navy polo and neatly pressed khaki pants, boots polished. He walked the house with the note app open, eyes scanned lines and angles. He said, I like your pressure line from the mains. We'll install pressure-reducing valves so the mixers don't scream. He tapped the wall where a rain shower would go. Concealed piping here. Clean look. Kitchen sink? Let's use a trap that doesn't clog. I'll add isolation valves, so if anything fails, you can shut just that branch. Chika nodded, relieved by his competence. He seemed to speak house language. She said, I want it done well. I worked for this. He smiled. I'll treat it like my own. He did not say what he was thinking, that good work took time and good materials cost money, and he preferred fast money. He had learned an ugly arithmetic. Cut a corner, get a recall. Bill again. Customers who trusted too easily fed his appetite for more. The day laborers unloaded pipes, the yard filled with clatter. Okafor unboxed fittings, arranged them like a magician's trick on the dining floor. But when the crew turned away, he swapped out the thick-walled PPR for cheaper thin-grade stock. He used PVC where heat would one day travel. He measured once, guessed twice, coughed when a joint didn't seat right, then drowned it in glue and wiped the smear with a rag. Boss, that bend is tight, one apprentice said, brow furrowed. Water will hammer. Okafor smiled, thinned. Do you want to pay their bills? Cut it. Behind plaster, beneath tiles, in the quiet dark where a home's veins should be strong, he laid weakness like snares. On the surface, neat little mixer plates, sleek rain shower heads, a gleaming kitchen faucet with a pull-out spray. Underneath, brittled elbows, unsealed threads, a trap that would grow a stink. He finished quickly. He took photos with a ring light. He handed over a fat invoice stamped paid, when she could transfer the balance and added a small bonus for speed. Thank you, she said, beaming. May your work bless this home. Always, he said, pocketing the blessing.
Neighbors arrived with hampers and soft drinks. The stereo hummed Afrobeats under the new ceiling's LED strip. Children chased one another along the hallway, their feet drumming a rhythm. Chika opened a bottle of malt and clinked it against her mother's glass. To new starts, she said. The kitchen faucet arced a pretty stream. The bathrooms glowed. The powder room mirror caught everyone's joy. Okafor posted a reel. Full modern install. Pressure balanced, leak tested, 1 week turnaround. A cascade of heart emojis followed. He replied to a DM, "Quality always." Near midnight, after the guests had left and the last paper plate was tossed, the house exhaled. Pipes settled in their hidden beds. Valves clicked as the tank filled. In the ceiling, a joint shivered, then sighed, then wept. One slow, stubborn tear. Chika woke to a smell like damp cotton. In the kitchen, a silvery puddle crept from beneath the sink. She crouched and opened the cabinet. Droplets from a compression fitting hung like beads on a string. She texted Okafor. "Chika, there's a small leak under the kitchen sink. Can you come?" Okafor. Sorry dear. I'll swing by this afternoon. Don't worry." He arrived with apologetic eyebrows, tightened the fitting with a practiced wrist, dabbed the thrip with a cloth. One of the washers shifted. Normal settling. "Thank you," Chika said, relieved. By evening, the spot had dried. She slept easy. At 2:37 a.m., a new sound woke her, a long, hollow moan like a flute in the walls. The upstairs bathroom pipe groaned. When she switched on the light, the rain shower rose arm trembled. A dark line snaked down the paint. In the morning, she called again. "Okafor, I'll come. It's nothing big." He came. He smiled. He replaced a visible fitting. He left. The groan softened. For 2 nights, the house was quiet. Then, during a hot afternoon, the powder room faucet sputtered and coughed rusty water into the basin. Leaks bloomed with the stubbornness of weeds. A ceiling ringed with damp, paint blistered, a smell like a forgotten towel. Each time Okafor arrived with a sympathetic tilt of his head and an invoice softened by a loyalty discount. He fixed what showed and loosened what hid. He left tidy and took money. He posted reels and wrote captions about craftsmanship. Chika learned new words she never wanted: pipe hammer, backflow, seepage. She slept lightly, ears tuned to the house's night music, the creak, the hiss, the whisper of water traveling where it should not. "Call another plumber," her friend Ifeoma said, wrinkling her nose at the powder room. "Someone else." "But he knows the system," Chika said. "He installed it." "Exactly," Ifeoma muttered. Chika kept calling him. Trust is sticky when soaked with hope. In the estate's WhatsApp group, a message floated. "Anyone else have issues with that Okafor guy?" Replies buzzed. Some said he was fine. Some said he never returned calls after payment. One neighbor wrote, "My kitchen pipe burst at 3 a.m. He blamed the tank and charged me full. 3 days later, bathroom started leaking." At the market, a trader who knew a cousin who knew a client whispered to Chika, "They call your place the House of Leaking Tears." It stung, the way gossip wraps shame around a person's name. Chika felt it in her shoulder muscles, in the tightness behind her eye. She worked longer at the shop, packing rice and writing receipts with a measured hand, trying not to think about the stain spreading on her bedroom ceiling. She texted Okafor again. "Chika, it's getting worse. Please, I need everything fixed properly. I'm tired." Okafor, "I understand, madame. This will be the last one, I promise." He arrived with a new helper and a short roll of tape. He cut a small access opening in the upstairs wall, sighed loudly, and said, "Your developer used the wrong pipe grade. This is not my fault. I'll patch what I can." "How much?" He mentioned a number that could buy a good washing machine. Chika stared at her hands, then transferred the money. The clouds gathered like a council in a bad mood. In the afternoon, rain began with polite knuckles, then pounded the estate, turning gutters into urgent mouths and streets into shallow rivers. The tank filled, the pumps hummed, the system pressurized. In Chika's house, a poorly glued elbow above the master bathroom gave way. Water found freedom. It ran down inside the wall, soaked the insulation, tasted the drywall, and burst through with a triumphant, muddy cough. She heard the scream of it, the sudden slap of water hitting tile, and ran. The bathroom mirror blurred as if the house had started to cry. The ceiling swelled and then tore like fabric. Brown water gushed onto the vanity, carried by the rain's cheerleading fists. She shut the main valve and stood ankle-deep in her future. The storm kept on. Water traveled down like conduits, dropped inside the kitchen bulkhead, flooded the cabinet where the rice cooker sat plugged in. The plug spat sparks. The lights went out with a sigh. In the dark, she listened to the house weep.
The leak in the upstairs wall became a rivulet, then a thread down the driveway, then a tributary joining the estate's swelling gutter. A neighbor filming the flood panned her camera across the street and caught the stream escaping Chika's property like a guilty spirit. Within an hour, the water reached beyond her gate. Okafor's workshop, 2 streets away, sat low. Boxes of fittings softened. Cardboard slumped. The rug under his bench drank until it couldn't. The toolbox rusted at the edges, where sweat and carelessness kissed. He arrived too late, shouted at his apprentice, tried to lift the bench and slipped, his shin cracking against the vise. Pain bloomed, sharp and clean. The water ignored him, busy rewriting plans. Word moved faster than the flood. Residents gathered under umbrellas, phones held high, videos uploaded, captions swift. Someone shouted, "This is from that useless plumbing." Another person said, "Where is the man? He must fix it." A third, "We warned you about him." A neighbor knocked on Chika's gate with gentle knuckles. "We're here," she said. "We'll help you sweep." When Okafor arrived at Chika's house, his smile was gone. He stared at the open ceiling, the ruined vanity, the swollen door frame. He opened his mouth, ready to shift blame to the developer, the weather, the pump, then closed it. There were too many witnesses, neighbors in rubber slippers, the estate supervisor with the clipboard, Chika's mother with folded arms, Chika's face like a shuttered shop. "Fix it," the supervisor said. "Now." Okafor swallowed, then tried to thread his words through a narrowing space. There were existing structural issues. The pressure reducer I recommended," he glanced at the place where it should have been. He had never installed it. "Brother," the supervisor said, voice pitched low. "Enough. Some truths don't need a jury." The ceiling told the story. The soggy insulation sang chorus. The hush in the room was the judge's gavel. Okafor felt the room tilt. He looked at Chika and saw no anger there, only a long sorrow that made him feel small. She said, "Leave." He gathered his tools in a rush that sounded like apology and fled to a workshop that smelled like wet cardboard and failure. The supervisor called another plumber. His name was Ikena, and he arrived late, soaked to the elbows, eyes patient. He didn't talk much. He took off his boots at the door. He studied the layout, traced the runs, tapped the walls with a knuckle that listened. He cut clean access boxes, labeled lines with masking tape and marker. He explained to Chika like she was a partner, not a payday. "Here," he said, pointing to the riser. "Wrong material for hotline. It will always deform. We'll replace the section from the junction box." He showed her a pressure-reducing valve, still in its box. This should have been installed. We'll put it by the mains." He held up a fitting. "This glue job isn't a seal. It's makeup." Chika nodded, tears pressing. "Do whatever you need. I'm exhausted." He said, "We'll make the house quiet so you can sleep again." He didn't promise miracles. He promised work. Fixing meant destruction. The sound of saws and chisels replaced the leak's whimper. Plaster fell, tiles lifted. Nobody romanticized it. Progress often looks like a mess. Ikena's crew carried out garbage bags of the old and carried in coils of the right. They flushed lines until the water ran clear, bled air out of the highest points, replaced every cheap elbow with one that could hold its head high beneath a wall. They installed a proper trap in the kitchen, caulked what should be caulked, taped what should be taped, and tightened what should be tightened with torque, not guesswork. He drew a simple map of the system and taped it inside the utility cabinet. He labeled valves with tags: kitchen cold, upstairs hot, master bath. He tested overnight with the mains off, then with the mains on, then with the pump and tank. He listened in the silence just before dawn and smiled at how quiet a house could be. He called an electrician he trusted. They inspected the fixtures, ran a moisture meter over walls, replaced outlets in the kitchen where the water had kissed them, pulled down the sagging ceiling, and built a new one with proper access panels so any future repair would be a visit, not a demolition. The work took days, then a week. When it finished, the house smelled like plaster dust and fresh paint, not like wet cloth. Chika walked barefoot in the hallway and heard nothing but the sound of her own breath. She stood in the upstairs bathroom and turned the rain shower knob. Water fell in a clean sheet, steady, unafraid. She laughed, short, surprised, and then she cried in a way that relieved rather than ruined. "Thank you," she told Ikena, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. "I thought I was going mad." He shrugged, tired but bright. "Houses tell the truth when you open them. Yours is honest again." Stories in cities travel on feet and data. The estate WhatsApp group lit up. Ikena fixed the Udo place, explained everything, labeled valves. Photos of the new work spread, captions filled with relief. Someone wrote, "Honesty is the pressure reducer we all need." People laughed, screens warmed. Okafor's name went gray. Clients messaged to postpone their jobs. A developer he depended on switched to Ikena. The algorithm he had fed with false captions and staged wipes spat him out. In his workshop, the rust on his toolbox crept like shame. He avoided the estate. He kept his hat low in markets. He blocked numbers he recognized. But stories are endurance athletes. They will outlast your sprints. One evening, long after the storm's muddy fingerprints washed away, Okafor sat at an empty table with a bowl of soup cooling, untouched. He scrolled to old posts of his smiling face beside brand new fixtures. He zoomed in on the reflection in chrome and saw his own hands, hands that had learned skill first and greed later. He visited his former mentor, a retired plumber named Baba Sei, who lived in a bungalow that looked like it breathed properly. "I lost my name," Okafor said, voice flat. Baba Sei poured him water. "You traded it," he said. "Names don't get lost, they get bargained." "I can't work," Okafor said. "No one hires me." "Then work for free," Baba Sei said. "Fix what you broke. You are still a plumber. The trade did not betray you, you betrayed it." "Will that bring back my name?" "Names don't return on demand," the old man said. "They come when you stop shouting for them and start working like you deserve them." Okafor began with his workshop. He repaired what the flood had warped. He cleaned tools, oiled handles, replaced broken bits, and labeled drawers like a person who planned to be found by order, not by luck. He deleted the posts that were lies. He posted none. He took a small job fixing an elderly neighbor's leaking cistern for no charge. He fixed a community borehole tap that stuck and scraped. He returned money to a client who had paid for a mixer he never installed. Word moved slower this time, steady and suspicious, but it moved. He wrote a message on the estate group. I would like to inspect any home I worked on and fix improper installations free of charge. I am sorry. He expected flames. Some came, but one person DM'd an address, then another. He arrived to houses humbled. He cut neat access panels and pulled his own errors into the light. He explained, not with excuses, but with specifics. I used the wrong elbow here. I glued where a compression fitting should have gone. This noise is water hammer. There should have been an arrestor. He fixed them. He printed a one-page guide, How to Quiet Your House, with valve labels and shut-off instructions for emergencies. He left the guide taped inside utility cabinets. He left receipts with 0 balances and a simple handwritten line, I am sorry. He didn't get paid, but the work paid. Chika invited him only once to apologize in person. She had nothing to gain. Ikenna had restored her home, but something in her refused to let bitterness become a tenant. Your work caused me harm, she said at the gate, voice steady. I lost sleep. I lost money. I lost faith in my own judgment. I know, he said, eyes on the floor. There is nothing I can say to balance it. I am trying to learn a new arithmetic. You should repay Ikenna, not with money. Mentor someone, the way you were mentored. Teach them to choose the right fitting when nobody is watching. He looked up surprised. You would trust me to teach? I would trust the man who admits he must learn, she said. The house behind her was silent, the kind of silence that blesses. He nodded and left, feeling something loosen in his chest, a valve stuck for years, finally turning. The city didn't become perfect. No city does. People still cut corners, storms still turned gutters into mouths. But the story of the House of Leaking Tears began traveling with a different itinerary. A caution for workers who thought clients were ATMs, a comfort for clients whose first trust broke, a praise song for plumbers who believed that concealed pipes should be as honest as visible fixtures. Okafor's name did not shine again. It didn't need to. It held. Okafor took an apprentice every 6 months. He paid them fairly. He taught them to map systems, to listen to walls, and to label valves like they were names. He taught them the proverb his father taught him. Do not polish the tap and poison the pipe. Chika cooked dinner in a quiet kitchen. She learned the soft clicks of valves. She learned the relief of a rainstorm that did not enter uninvited. She and Obina sat on the couch and listened to their house like people listen to the ocean, aware, grateful, unafraid.